Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this one we have a special guest, Nick Sweeney. Nick, pleasure to have you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man, awesome. So for anybody who isn't already familiar with you, can you please just give us a quick intro? Amazing throw, by the way. Can you give us a quick intro for anybody who might not be familiar with you and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a breathwork coach for high performers and people trying to heal from chronic conditions, and grew up in Colorado as a cross-country ski racer. And now I'm living in Austin, Texas, and just learning about what it takes to heal, what it takes to become superhuman.
That's super cool, man. That's super cool. Dude, man, yeah, like, let's just take a second and just give a little recap, bro, of the last few days here, man. First of all, like, at least from my perspective, I mean, I feel like I have a huge, deep sense of gratitude just going into, like, this next week, man, just ready to crush it, man. So, like, what's been your experience so far the past few days here at this mastermind event, man?
Last night we were talking about how this was a business mastermind, but it ended up feeling like a spiritual experience. And that resonates pretty deeply in that just when you're with other people and you're in their fields and you guys are exchanging ideas, but you're also exchanging the feeling of being around each other
That
and what it
energy, yeah.
feels like, people's demeanors, people's just sort of tonality and where they're vibrating and resonating at. It's like super, super cool because we are all co-regulating each other,
Right.
and we're co-regulating our way up and leveling up. And that's what it's felt like, is just one sort of 0 to 1 quantum leap level up over the past 4 days, from a business side, but also from a spiritual side and a gratitude side and a presence side. It seems like everyone really just has left with a different sense of being.
Totally. Yeah, I know from my experience going to these type of events before, I always leave these events with like a reinvigorated energy and just like ready to crush it, man. Because, like you said, man, it's like the proximity here is a joke. I mean, yeah, it's absolutely nuts, man. So I've learned a ton this week so far, a ton from you, and yeah, I think it's been super impactful for me so far as well. So yeah, man, like what would you say are some like the main takeaways from this trip?
I would say that the main takeaway is the person who's going to win is the one who's experimenting the most, iterating the quickest, and then understanding what to double down on. And that's the whole sort of coaching game, but also in anything, there's a degree of experimentation.
Right.
With content, for example, it is just like how much can you put out, and then what do you learn from that? So for me, leaving, I'm going all full gas on content, full gas on YouTube. Just how can I beam pure frequency on the timeline and resonate with people who it's meant to be resonated with? And so that's a big, big takeaway. Also, just big takeaway is that there's so many levels to the game, and how can like you cultivate that sense of like having fun while making millions of dollars,
Right.
having fun doing this. This is an adventure. How can we set up this business so that it's like play and a video game?
Right.
And from that place of like, this is a video game, you're going to make better decisions because you're not stuck in fear as much. And that's what everyone touched on, all the speakers that we had. It's like a lot of it comes down to energy, and a sales call is like how does it feel on the sales call, or what does that energy feel like in your ad, in your content. So the biggest thing really is like just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks and be aware and then double down.
Dude, that's fucking sick, man. Yeah. And it's crazy because like the first level, I feel like for everybody is just like, okay, get to like 10, 20K a month at all costs, doing whatever, and just get that done online and whatever. And I think it's safe to say basically everyone here has kind of crushed that, right? That's kind of the first level, I think. That's kind of everyone's primary goal initially. And then from there, it's like, well, are you just building a business that you're going to end up hating, or are you building it by design? And I think it's just like having that clarity, like you said, of like, yeah, constantly iterating, obviously with your content, with your program, with your product as well. But that next level is, what is that dream business that I'm building where, like you said, incorporating that fun aspect where every action item, whether it's the content you're making like we're doing now, whether it's the networking events that you're doing, like it's all fun, bro. It's all fun. And like that's also like kind of a switch I've made kind of this past year is just like leaning into building that dream business that you want. You know, once you kind of hit that first level and it's just like, okay, well, how can we expand vision? How can we continue to iterate and be creative? And at least for me, when you can get into that creative process and have some fun with it, to me that's when it just like explodes, man. Like, and that's why
Yeah.
like the long form stuff has been tremendous so far, and just documenting the process. I think that's one of the next switches for me as well. It's just like document fucking everything, bro. Totally.
Yeah, everyone here at the mastermind has gone through trial by fire, I believe, where you kind of are that glorified freelancer and
Right.
you have to kind of create a business that
Right.
you hate.
And you're wearing every single hat.
You're wearing
You're doing
every hat.
everything.
Yeah. And so when was that flip for you where you were like, okay, I have some hot air under my wings? When did you realize, oh, I need to create some more intentionality into how I design my business?
Yeah. So I think for me, it was just getting super clear on vision, and I kind of just needed some time with it because there's a saying which is you're best suited to serve your past self. And I know for me, my past self initially was that serious tournament player who wanted to go D1 and play in college and pursue, you know, his tennis goals with all of that, right? And having to figure out how to improve my game and all that. So when I was thinking about, you know, the whole online side of things and just like what my dream program was, that past self that I want to serve was that past athlete, right? So that first program I developed, my UTR accelerator program, was focused purely on that. And it took me some time. Once I, you know, went past like 30K months with that consistently, it was like, okay, well, I kind of crushed my dreams with that. And then as time went on, it was like 2 years going on, and I was feeling like I just, I don't know what it was, but I kind of had that internal dialogue rumbling subconsciously of like, not something's not right, but like I was on paper, I'm doing everything right. I'm hitting my income goals. I'm working with a ton of students is awesome. But for me is when I was able to go through that enough and realize, wait, my past self now is actually that young entrepreneur hungry who wants to transition from being a worker for somebody else's business to taking full accountability, full ownership, going all in on my own business. And when I was coming into the space, especially in the tennis world, racket sport world, there was nobody who was giving any info about that particular niche and how to accomplish, you know, having an actual business online where you're coaching athletes that you love working with from around the world. So getting clear on that vision of like, wait, now my past self is actually like this ICP, this profile, and this is who I am really meant to serve. And that's how I can make an even bigger impact. And yeah, so just getting clarity on that long-term vision. Once you have ultra clarity on that, all the action steps, all of the what do you have to do to piece it together, it kind of comes into place once you have clarity on that vision. So for me, it was just like getting crystal clear on the vision. And like once you hit your goals and once you crush like your goals that, I mean, for me, I thought it was going to take me like 10 years, 15 years to get to like that level. So it kind of messed me up in a way, in a sense of like, whoa, like I hit this fast. Like I got to take a step back and like really build a business that I want in the community that I want long term. So that's kind of been my transitionary kind of period, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's so interesting that the forcing function for that is self-awareness.
Right.
It's like self-discovery. How do you have a vision if you don't know who you are or what you want? And I think that's where a lot of people trip up is they want the vision and they want the clear direction and clarity, but they don't know who they are yet. And so
Without doing the self-awareness work, without going on
Exactly.
that. And like you mentioned, it's like a spiritual journey,
Yeah.
right? More than anything with entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And it's, you do spiritual bypassing when you're like, I'll be happy when I have this much money, or I have this car, or I have this relationship. And that is a trap. So we want to kind of like blah out into the material world and like create some business, but we don't have any idea of who we are. And I think people think that they need to live 30, 40 years in order to know who they are, which isn't true.
Totally
You
not
can
true.
know yourself at such a deep level for wherever you are in life, however many years it's been. Like, how many years were you aware? How many years were you present? And how many hours or whatever did you do like the deep inner work where you looked internal, you looked into your past, you looked into the programs that are running your shit,
Right.
and from that place of like strength, now I can make a decision in my business instead of coming from a place of weakness and scarcity. I don't have enough money. I'm going to try this drop shipping thing. I'm going to
Right.
try this thing. I'm going to do that. How can you get a little bit more knowingness of who the fuck you are and not let the world tell you who you are? Because you might be going down a path. I did this. I went down a path of, I was working in oil and gas and I wanted to be in climate technology. I didn't know myself though. And so now that I know myself at a greater level, I'm able to create that business with intentionality.
So I got a question for you, man. So when it comes to that and like introspection, I think that's basically what that fundamental, I guess, skill set or whatever that is. And I think a lot of successful entrepreneurs, they have that real skill of introspection, right? And I think oftentimes, at least for me in my journey, a lot of that introspection comes from times of pain in the journey, right? Whether it's suffering through injuries when you're younger, whether it's being sick, going through tough things, family member passing away, whatever it might be. I feel like for like a lot of people, at least for me, a lot of that stuff happens when you're going through like times of pain. So like, what are ways that people can start to kind of build some of those introspective habits or tendencies so that they can be a little bit more aware, so that they can actually start figuring out their journey and kind of get on that roadmap?
Yeah, I will sound like a broken record when I say just sitting down and closing your eyes for 10, 20, 30 minutes a day.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. And it's not going to be super fun and easy.
Right.
But that is the highest return on investment thing I do and have done in my life. And as a high performer, you are kind of used to, I need to work harder, I need to train more, I need to act. And there's like a heavy emphasis on action, but there's no emphasis on attraction.
Right.
There's a heavy emphasis on movement, but there's no emphasis on stillness. And so when you balance those two forces out, you are given clarity, you are given awareness and connection to yourself. That's really what you're doing when you're sitting there upright, is you're getting to know yourself.
So are you saying that most people in general, they don't spend enough time with themselves?
I mean, people spend time with themselves, but where's the intentionality
Intentionally spend
behind
time.
that
Gotcha.
time? Because I spent my whole life endurance sport training by myself, but there was no sort of goal or objective or intentionality behind it. There was byproducts of like, I feel good, it is a meditation in and of itself, but I didn't have the intentionality of like, I'm here to learn and be and practice humility,
Right.
and understand myself. I'm really just trying to understand myself, because once you introduce you to yourself, you can have that strength. So a lot of like Einstein was, I think, 99 times, and the answer doesn't come to me. I sit in silence and all is revealed, or there's some quote like that.
Right.
And he was a smart guy. He was smarter than me. So truly meditation. And I think that people kind of cringe at that word. But man, like once you get a couple months into doing it consistently, and breath work is also like, I'm a breath work guy, so I'm huge on it, but forced reflection ultimately is what it is. Forced reflection. And we were talking about like alarms, setting alarms on your phone to reflect, putting certain things in your environment and curating an environment that bleeds intentionality, and you see it like, oh, there's my book right there. I put it right there last night.
Yes.
So I'm going to read it. I think that just when you connect with yourself, you gain greater levels of awareness and greater levels of faith in yourself. So you switch from fear to faith over time. Athletes are stuck in fear usually. Our bodies have a survival bias. They're afraid of dying. And when you switch to faith through meditation, you can create a completely different set of circumstances in your life, in your business, in your sport.
Totally. No, that's awesome, man. Yeah. I'm definitely going to be implementing a lot. I learned a lot from you, man, this trip so far. So I'm definitely going to implement a lot of that stuff with my students as well. So yeah, I just want to say thank you, bro, for for being super giving and sharing with everything, bro. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And yeah, man, like, dude, how beautiful is this, man? The birds are chirping out this morning, man.
Yeah,
It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
it is.
But yeah, man. So what's next for you, man? You got any travel plans up next for you? What's next?
What's next is just getting back to Austin, Texas, and going full gas on my breathwork app, Coherence.
Awesome.
My brother and I have built that together over the past 2 months, now on iOS and Android, and that's how I can help people reclaim their power. And the goal for that is to get 1 million people meditating all at once throughout the entire world. So that's the North Star.
It's awesome.
And there's going to be some trips involved. I'm still going to be coaching pro athletes and doing that sort of thing. But really the focus is how do I really make this the #1 breathwork app on the App Store and get people in touch with their own power. So that's what's next for me.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool. Well, awesome, man. Any last thoughts? Anything else you wanted to share today, bro?
Just super grateful for you, super grateful for our conversations over the past week, super grateful to be here. Gratitude's the ultimate state of receivership. Appreciate what you appreciates. And so
Hell yeah.
I'm just super appreciative for you and this time now. And I know that you're on the precipice of doing 1,000x and feels like everyone here is on that same precipice. So I'm just excited for what's going to happen next.
Same, bro. With everyone here who's come to this event, it's like I want to see where they're going to be in 6 months. I want to keep up with everybody. It's been a blast, man. So yeah, with that being said, guys, download his app immediately right now, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, bro.
Let's
Awesome.
go.